Everybody, today I'm going to be showing you the foiling technique. It's a really easy way of using your pigments in your eyeshadow to increase the look of them so that they have a little bit more payoff. Like as you can see here, they have a very strong amount of payoff. I've also created this eye look in this tutorial, so I really hope that you enjoy it and just keep watching. The basics of foiling technique is where you take a liquid or a damp brush and you mix it up with your pigments or your kind of set pressed eyeshadows to increase the look of them. It works really well with anything that has a silver metallic look or a bronzy kind of look because it'll really hit the light quite nicely. As you can see with this, it's really hitting the light and making it look really strong and vivid. Now, there's a few different liquids that you can use and a few different ways of dampening your brush. The easiest way is to use water. Water is a pretty good way of using it. The only thing is that sometimes as the water evaporates, it can cause kind of cracking on the eyeshadow, so it might not last as long. Another thing that you can use is something like a setting spray, which will actually increase the long wearingness of the actual foiling technique. It also creates a nice, smooth, even kind of coverage throughout the whole thing. It's what I use to create this, and you can also use anything that's going to dampen your brush, like even a baby wipe. And it's really easy. It's very simple, and it looks really effective. Now, the two eyeshadows I've used here are two pigments. I have the lightest shade, which is Silver Lining, and I also have Midnight. So Midnight is the darker one, and then that's Silver Lining there. And they're the two shades that I use to create this look. So first of all, let's go through how to do the foiling technique. So here I have my Mineral Mate palette. I would say to use some form of a palette when you're mixing up your colors because using the lid isn't very hygienic. So I have in here, in these two, I have water in this one and I have a setting spray in this. And then I also have our pigment that we're going to be using. Now you can use a pressed eyeshadow if you want, but I like using this one. I want to show you with this particular one. This has a silvery kind of accent color throughout it, so it's going to look really nice when it's foiled. So I'm first of all going to show you what it looks like on my hand by just applying it with a dry brush. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the pigment, so just a nice stripe. Now this is quite an intense color anyway, it's really good eyeshadow, but that's what it looks like dry. Now I'm going to take a little bit of our liquid. I'm going to use a little bit of the setting spray because I think you get a better finish when you use the setting spray. So I'm going to mix it up now. So you want to form a nice even paste. Is what it looks like when you apply it wet. And as you can see, it looks so much more intense. Now that we know the basic technique of foiling, we're going to use it to create this eye look. I'm going to start by applying this on the actual lid. We're sticking this to the lid and then we're going to blend it out. This is the darkest shade that we're going to use. So I'm going to start right at the lash line. Make sure you get right down there. And just slowly blend it out. Now if you want to fill in the gaps, you can take a little bit of the dry shadow and just tap it over it. It looks a little bit messy, but we're going to blend it in a second. I'm going to take a little bit of that shadow and just place it right underneath the lashes. I'm going just over halfway across. I'm also applying a black eyeliner to my waterline. I'm going to take a blending brush. I'm going to take a little bit of that shadow. It doesn't necessarily have to be wet shadow. I prefer using a little bit dry when I'm blending. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that shadow on the top of the brush, tap it off. Now you only need a small amount because we're going to work with what we have on the lid. And I'm just going to very gently blend the edges of our lids like this, just so there's no harsh lines. Then I'm going to take a little bit of the setting spray and the lightest color that we have here, which is this beautiful, very light silver. So I'm going to make up a paste again. You want to test it on the back of your hand just to make sure it's a nice fluid line, or it might need a little bit extra. Now we're okay. So that we have a nice silver line here. Use that silver to create a little bit more highlight and an intense look right in the inside of the eye. So I'm just going to take this onto that same brush and I'm just going to work it right in the same shape that I have on the other side. So a little bit underneath, blending it in, and then right to the inner corner. So I just added some mascara and some eyeliner, and that is how to do the foiling technique. I hope that you will try this out because it's really, really interesting. It's a creative way of using your pigments or your eyeshadows to create a different look each time. You can just apply a little bit in the inner part of the eye. You could do it all over the eye like we did here. It's totally up to you. You could also place it just in the center of the eye, just where the pupil is, and as it hits the light, it's going to increase the kind of look and the shimmer in the actual eye. So I really hope that you enjoy this. I'm Shady Katie, and thank you for watching.